The weight of conviction. They toast the crest that crowns the quote, then curse the trough's retreat. Yet neither summit swale nor swell reveals truth's hidden wheat. A froth rides free on fevered flows and crowns itself the king. An anvil sleeps beneath the tide where deeper gravities cling. The bourse barters thunder ticks and auctions borrowed air. Each echo underwrites applause, then defaults into despair. Rumor brocades paper plumes with guilt that never grew, while calloused coin keeps calendared roots drinking morning dew. The vein of volume votes the wind with pirouetting pride. Bedrock never campaigns at all, yet shoulders every stride. A crimson candle tongues the void, an emerald answers smoke. Yet wax has never freighted steel nor forged the engine's yoke. The loud bell bronzes empty air, the basin buys its clang. Granite tallies, glacial sums no avalanche can fang. A mountebank mints mist for ore and barters bloom for bark. The mason mortises the dawn before he builds the ark. The market masks in mirrored silk embroidered into might. The ledger lifts the lantern's latch and assays every light. The fox cries, fire through furrowed fields. The flock forgets the grain. The owl audits arboreal rings and learns from season's rain. One harvest counts the gilded leaves that gossip with the gale. Another counts capillary roots beneath the loam's dark veil. Cash currents chine through shisted banks long after storms subside, for rivers carve their hidden canyons where loud tempests cannot hide. The ballot box is ballasted with panic, praise, and plea. Yet scales refuse all rhetoric and weigh what truth will be. So let the rumor rent the room. Let panic pawn the floor. A lodestone never litigates with storms along the shore. The market mouths 1,000 masks, then molts them one by one. Yet earnings leave alluvial trails that shadows cannot shun. Price preens in peacock plumage bright to dazzle passing eyes. Value veins through bedrock's bone, where patient ore still lies. The crowd may cast 1,000,000 votes before the closing bell. Conviction waits beside the scale, for substance weighs itself. The weight of conviction, a deeper reflection. At first glance, the weight of conviction appears to be about the stock market, the tension between price and value, optimism and fear, and the constant movement of markets. But the market is only the stage. The deeper one looks, the more the poem becomes a reflection on human nature. It explores how people judge what they see, what they hear, and what they feel in the moment. A rising price creates excitement. A falling price creates fear. A rumor creates hope. A headline creates panic. These patterns are common in financial markets, but they also appear throughout everyday life. The poem asks a simple question. Are we seeing reality or are we reacting to emotion? That question lies at the heart of the weight of conviction. Why so many unusual words? One of the first things readers notice is the poem's vocabulary. Words such as swale, brocade, mountebank, assay, lodestone, and alluvial are uncommon in everyday conversation. They were chosen intentionally. Each word carries its own history, imagery, and symbolism. Understanding these metaphors often reveals another layer of the poem. The stock market itself is surprisingly interdisciplinary. While many think of it as only numbers and finance, understanding markets often draws upon psychology, economics, history, business, philosophy, probability, language, and even poetry. Markets are, after all, collections of people making decisions. To better understand markets is often to better understand human behavior. In that sense, Learning the vocabulary of the poem is not simply learning difficult words, it is learning different ways of seeing the world. Reading the poem. The reflections that follow are not meant to be the only interpretation of each stanza. Poetry invites multiple readings, and different readers may discover meanings that others miss. These notes simply explore one possible path through the imagery, metaphors, and symbolism, helping casual readers appreciate the craftsmanship hidden beneath the language. Whether someone reads the poem as an exploration of investing, psychology, philosophy, or simply an appreciation for language, the hope is that each rereading uncovers something new. Stanza by stanza deep dive. Stanza 1. They toast the crest that crowns the quote, then curse the trough's retreat. Yet neither summit, swale, nor swell reveals truth's hidden wheat. The poem opens by illustrating the emotional rhythm of the market. People celebrate when prices rise. People panic when prices fall. The imagery is carefully layered. A crest is the highest point of a wave. A summit is the peak of a mountain. A swale is a gentle valley. A swell is a rising wave. Together, these landscapes suggest that highs and lows, whether in markets or in life, rarely tell the whole story. The most important phrase is truth's hidden wheat. Throughout history, wheat has symbolized nourishment, abundance, and the reward of patient cultivation. The poem suggests that the true harvest lies beneath the surface. In investing, that may be earnings, cash flow, innovation, or the strength of a business. More broadly, it reminds us that what truly matters is often hidden from immediate view. Price is what people notice. Substance is what sustains the future. Stanza 2. A froth rides free on fevered flows and crowns itself the king. An anvil sleeps beneath the tide where deeper gravities cling. This stanza contrasts appearance with substance. Froth is the foam that rides on the surface of water. It appears large and active, but carries almost no weight. It symbolizes speculation, excitement, hype, and emotional momentum. Then the poem introduces the anvil. An anvil is forged for strength. It does not float. It does not chase attention. It simply endures. The contrast is simple but powerful. What rises the fastest is not always what possesses the greatest strength. The things with the greatest weight are often the least visible. Stanza 3. The bourse barters thunder ticks and auctions borrowed air. Each echo underwrites applause, then defaults into despair. This stanza explores how easily emotion can influence perception. A bourse is an old word for a stock exchange. The choice gives the market an almost timeless quality, suggesting that speculation and human emotion are not modern inventions but recurring parts of history. Thunder ticks represent the rapid movement of prices. Every tick feels significant. Every movement invites celebration or concern. The phrase borrowed air is especially revealing. Air has no substance to hold. Likewise, excitement built solely on expectations can lift prices for a time without adding real value. The second line continues the metaphor. An echo repeats a sound but creates nothing new. In much the same way, people often repeat opinions, headlines, and rumors until they seem true, simply because they are heard so often. The applause grows louder. Expectations rise. But if those expectations are unsupported, optimism eventually gives way to disappointment. The message: echoes can amplify belief. Only reality can sustain it. Stanza 4. Broomer brocades paper plumes with gilt that never grew. while calloused coin keeps calendared roots drinking morning dew. This stanza explores the difference between illusion and reality, appearance and substance. The poet uses brocades as a verb, turning a beautiful fabric into an action. Brocade is traditionally a luxurious cloth decorated with intricate patterns and gold-like threads. Here, rumor becomes the weaver, taking something ordinary and dressing it in false beauty. Rumor does not reveal truth. It embellishes, exaggerates, and creates a more attractive story than reality deserves. The paper plumes represent false displays of greatness. A plume is a feather often associated with pride, honor, or beauty. But these feathers are made of paper. They may look elegant from a distance, but they have no strength, no life, and no ability to carry a bird into flight. They are symbols of appearance without ability. The phrase "guilt that never grew" adds another layer. Gilt is a thin coating of gold placed over something else. It can make an object shine, but the gold is only on the surface. Unlike a tree that grows deeper roots and stronger branches, this gold never truly develops. It is decoration without growth, beauty without substance. The second image creates the contrast. While calloused coin keeps calendared roots drinking morning dew, the calloused coin represents earned value. Unlike rumor's painted illusions, real worth comes from time, effort, and endurance. A callus forms through repeated labor, suggesting something that has been tested and strengthened through experience. The calendared roots drinking morning dew suggests patience and steady growth. True value is not created overnight. Like roots slowly absorbing water each morning, lasting success comes from consistency, nourishment, and time. The stanza's deeper message is, rumor can dress something in gold, but only time reveals what is truly valuable. False beauty shines quickly, but real worth grows quietly beneath the surface. Stanza 5. The vein of volume votes the wind with pirouetting pride. Bedrock never campaigns at all, yet shoulders every stride. Here the poem compares changing sentiment with enduring foundations. A weather vane constantly turns toward the wind. It has no direction of its own. Likewise, market volume often follows emotion. When enthusiasm grows, activity increases. When fear spreads, direction changes just as quickly. The word pirouetting evokes the graceful spin of a dancer. It beautifully captures how rapidly public opinion can rotate from optimism to pessimism. Then, the image shifts. Bedrock never moves to attract attention. It does not advertise itself. It does not ask for approval. Yet every building, road, and foundation ultimately depends upon it. The contrast is clear. One follows changing winds. The other quietly supports everything built above it. The message: popularity follows emotion, strength supports reality. Stanza 6. A crimson candle tongues the void, an emerald answers smoke. Readers familiar with stock charts immediately recognize the imagery. A crimson candle represents falling prices. An emerald candle represents rising prices. Together, they create the language traders watch every day. Yet the poem immediately challenges the importance people often assign to them. Candles record movement. They do not create value. A chart cannot invent a new technology. A chart cannot improve a product. A chart cannot increase earnings or strengthen a business. It merely reflects changing opinions about those things. The stanza quietly reminds readers not to confuse the measurement with what is being measured. The message: charts describe behavior. Businesses create value. Yet wax has never freighted steel nor forged the engine's yoke. This line is a metaphor about the difference between appearance and true strength. Wax can be polished, shaped, and made to look beautiful, but it cannot carry heavy burdens or build the machines that move the world. Steel represents substance, endurance, and the strength to withstand pressure. The message is simple. Things that only appear valuable or impressive cannot replace the hard-earned strength and usefulness that come from true substance. Beauty may attract the eye, but only strength can carry the weight of responsibility. Stanza 7. The loud bell bronzes empty air, the basin buys its clang. Granite tallies glacial sums no avalanche can fang. This stanza contrasts noise with permanence. The loud bell represents headlines, excitement, publicity, and attention. A bell commands notice the moment it rings. Yet once the sound fades, nothing tangible remains. The phrase, bronze's empty air, cleverly reminds us that although bronze gives the bell its form, the ringing itself is only sound moving through space. The second line shifts from sound to stone. Granite symbolizes permanence, stability, and endurance. Its work is slow. The phrase glacial sums compares lasting wealth to the movement of glaciers. Glaciers reshape landscapes not through speed, but through persistence. Even an avalanche, dramatic as it appears, cannot erase what granite has built over time. The message, excitement, is loud. Endurance is lasting. Stanza 8. A mountebank mints mist for ore and barters bloom for bark. The mason mortises the dawn before he builds the ark. This stanza contrasts illusion with craftsmanship. A mountebank was a traveling trickster who sold false cures and empty promises. The poet uses this image to represent those who create excitement without creating substance. To mint mist for ore is to convince others that fog is as valuable as precious metal. It is appearance replacing reality. Then comes the mason. Unlike the trickster, the mason builds patiently with stone. The phrase mortises the dawn suggests careful preparation before construction begins. A mortise is a precise joint that gives strength to a structure. The ark symbolizes something designed to survive storms, rather than merely impress during calm weather. The message promises attract attention. Foundations withstand time. Stanza 9. The market masks in mirrored silk embroidered into might. The ledger lifts the lantern's latch and assays every light. This is one of the poem's central turning points. The market is portrayed as wearing a mask. A mask can be beautiful, it can be convincing, but it does not always reveal what lies beneath. The phrase mirrored silk combines two powerful images. A mirror reflects whatever stands before it, often showing people what they want to see. Silk suggests elegance, luxury, and attraction. Together, they symbolize the stories, narratives, and appearances that can make something seem greater than it truly is. Then the poem introduces its counterbalance, the ledger. Unlike the mask, a ledger records reality. It keeps an honest count. The phrase lifts the lantern's latch suggests opening a door so light it can enter a dark room. The lantern symbolizes understanding. It reveals what emotion often hides. Perhaps the strongest word in the stanza is assays. To assay is to test the purity of something, especially precious metals such as gold or silver. A goldsmith does not trust appearances. They test. Likewise, careful judgment relies on evidence rather than excitement. The message: stories may shape perception. Evidence reveals substance. Stanza 10. The fox cries, fire, through furrowed fields. The flock forgets the grain. The owl audits arboreal rings and learns from season's rain. This stanza presents two very different responses to uncertainty. The fox symbolizes cunning, manipulation, and alarm. By crying fire, it creates immediate panic. The flock reacts without stopping to think. In the confusion, they forget the grain, the very thing that sustains them. The grain represents lasting value. It is easy to overlook what matters most when fear dominates attention. Then comes the owl. Traditionally, the owl represents wisdom. Rather than reacting to every disturbance, it observes, it studies. The phrase audits arboreal rings refers to the growth rings inside a tree. Those rings quietly preserve the story of every season, every drought, and every storm. The owl learns from history instead of being controlled by the present moment. The message fear reacts. Wisdom reflects. Stanza 11. One harvest counts the gilded leaves that gossip with the gale. Another counts capillary roots beneath the loam's dark veil. This stanza contrasts surface appearances with hidden foundations. One observer counts the leaves. Leaves are beautiful, visible, easy to admire. The phrase gilded leaves suggests beauty enhanced by a layer of gold. They catch the eye, yet leaves are temporary. A single season can change them. The image of leaves that gossip with the gale personifies them as following every passing wind, much like public opinion often follows changing trends. The second observer looks elsewhere. They study the capillary roots hidden beneath the soil. These tiny roots quietly absorb the water and nutrients that allow the entire tree to live. The poet deliberately chooses a scientific term to remind readers that the smallest, least visible systems often provide the greatest strength. The loam symbolizes rich, fertile ground where lasting growth begins. The message: many admire what is visible. Wisdom understands what sustains it. Stanza 12. Cash currents chine through schisted banks long after storms subside, for rivers carve their hidden canyons where loud tempests cannot hide. This stanza transforms cash flow into a river. A healthy river never depends upon a single storm. It flows continuously. Likewise, strong businesses generate value over long periods, rather than relying upon moments of excitement. The word chine means to cut deeply. Schist is a layered metamorphic rock formed under immense pressure. Together, they create the image of a river patiently carving through stone. Nothing dramatic appears to happen in a single day. Yet, over years and decades, entire landscapes change. Storms may temporarily disturb the surface, but they cannot stop the river's patient work. The message: emotion creates waves. Consistency reshapes the world. Stanza 13. The ballot box is ballasted with panic, praise, and plea, yet scales refuse all rhetoric and weigh what truth will be. Many readers recognize this as the philosophical center of the poem. The ballot box symbolizes collective opinion. Every purchase, every sale, every prediction, every expectation, each becomes another vote. The word ballasted is especially significant. A ballast provides weight that steadies a ship. Here, the votes themselves are weighted with emotion, panic, praise, hope, and pleading. The second line introduces the poem's ultimate judge, the scale. Unlike the ballot box, the scale does not listen to speeches. It is not persuaded by popularity. It measures only what possesses genuine weight. The message: opinion may influence the present, reality determines the outcome. Stanza 14. So let the rumor rent the room. Let panic pawn the floor. A lodestone never litigates with storms along the shore. This stanza returns to the conflict between emotion and permanence. Rumors spread rapidly. Panic can dominate an entire room. It often feels overwhelming while it lasts. Then comes the lodestone. A lodestone is naturally magnetic. Its properties are inherent. It does not become magnetic because others believe in it. Nor does it cease to be magnetic because others doubt it. The phrase never litigates with storms beautifully suggests that genuine strength does not waste energy arguing with temporary disturbances. Storms arrive, storms depart. The lodestone remains unchanged. The message: truth has no obligation to defend itself against every passing rumor. Stanza 15. The market mouths 1,000 masks, then molts them one by one. Yet earnings leave alluvial trails that shadows cannot shun. The poem now shows how temporary narratives eventually fade. The market wears countless masks: optimism, pessimism, certainty, doubt. Each seems convincing while it lasts. The word molts recalls a snake shedding its skin. Every mask eventually falls away. What remains are the lasting results. The image of alluvial trails comes from rivers depositing fertile soil over many years. These deposits become lasting evidence of where the river has flowed. Likewise, consistent results leave behind undeniable proof. Opinions fade, evidence accumulates. The message, narratives change, results endure. Stanza 16. Price preens in peacock plumage, bright to dazzle passing eyes. Value veins through bedrock's bone, where patient ore still lies. The final comparison returns to the poem's central contrast. Price becomes a peacock. A peacock's feathers are magnificent. They attract attention, they inspire admiration. But beauty alone does not determine worth. Value, by contrast, is compared to ore hidden deep within bedrock. Ore cannot be appreciated from the surface. It requires patience, curiosity, study, effort. The image reminds us that the most valuable discoveries are often invisible until someone is willing to dig beneath appearances. The message: attention follows beauty. Conviction searches for substance. Final lines. The crowd may cast 1,000,000 votes before the closing bell. Conviction waits beside the scale, for substance weighs itself. The poem concludes by bringing every image together. Crowds can move markets. Opinions can move crowds. Emotions can move both. But none of them delivers the final judgment. Time does. The closing lines quietly suggest that truth does not need applause. Character does not require popularity. A strong foundation does not depend upon recognition. Whether considering a company, a person, an idea, or a belief, what possesses genuine substance eventually reveals its own weight. The market may vote with emotion. Time weighs with reality. And in the end, substance weighs itself.